In Money, Master the Game, motivational speaker and life coach Tony Robbins argues that anyone can master money, achieve financial well-being, and create their dream lifestyle. In Robbins' view, mastering money means building an investing strategy that yields passive income for life and gives you the choice of when, where, and whether to continue working. Conversely, neglecting to master money means that you'll always need to trade your time for money. Robbins argues that earned wages alone can't create true wealth if we spend that money instead of putting it to work. If you spend what you earn, you'll need to trade more hours for more dollars. But if you invest your money, it can create income while you're inactive. While Robbins is famous for his self-help business, he has also spent years teaching wealth mastery seminars and built relationships with top investors, including billionaires Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, and Carl Icahn. He brings together his own experience and experts' advice to make investing accessible to anyone. Robbins argues that by following his advice, the average investor can become wealthy and live their dream lifestyle. Robbins presents his advice in 7 steps, which he calls the 7 steps to financial freedom. We will highlight which advice corresponds with which of Robbins' steps, but we've reordered them in our presentation. Our guide unpacks Robbins' approach to changing your money mindset and financial strategy, and we contrast it with popular approaches to financial independence, such as Financial Independence Retire Early, FIRE, and Early Retirement Extreme, ERE. New section: Money empowers you to create your life. Robbins explains that money is not the end goal, but a means to achieve your goals. When you master your financial life, money becomes a tool with which to create the life you want. Materially, you can afford necessities, luxuries, and a good life for yourself and your family. Personally, you get back your time and can now spend it as you choose, whether that means more family time, more adventures, or doing work that you love. Short form note: Jacob Lund Fisker of Early Retirement Extreme, both a blog and a book, agrees with Robbins that getting your time back is invaluable, but he disagrees with Robbins' emphasis on material pleasure. Fisker's approach is to reduce costs as much as possible, largely by rejecting consumerism. For instance, if you can learn to live without luxuries like a fancy car or expensive apartment, you can save and retire much more quickly. If you fail to master money, it will take control of you. You'll have to spend all your time getting more by trading hours for dollars at a traditional wage-earning job. Instead, Robbins asserts you must learn to make money work for you by investing to build passive income. In addition, becoming skillful with money gives you confidence that spills over into the rest of your life. When you know your finances are in good shape, you can live with greater assurance that you can withstand any trials and tribulations. Short form note: similarly to the way developing financial skills gives you confidence, Lund Fisker argues that developing new skills that decrease your dependence on expensive professional services, like learning to repair your house, build or renovate additions, or simply cook and eat well, can further build your confidence and give you momentum toward a healthy and satisfying lifestyle. While financial well-being can give you freedom from work, Robbins explains that many independently wealthy individuals choose to keep working on their own terms. Work is not the enemy, but a sacred opportunity to serve the world by giving back with the talents you've been given. With financial independence, you choose to work when and if you want to, and you choose what you work on. Short form note: as a counterpoint, Lund Fisker asserts that while some individuals feel passion for their work, not everyone does. If you simply aren't called to continue working, there's nothing wrong with that. On the other hand, consider also whether you might enjoy building your own business around something you do love. For example, maybe retiring early gives you the time to commit to a martial art you always wanted to train in, and you decide eventually to become an instructor. New section: you create your experience. To master money, you first need to change your mindset. Robbins writes that in any moment, your beliefs and emotions color how you perceive that experience, and they determine how you respond to it. For example, a man who's convinced that all banks are untrustworthy will feel jaded and take little action to build his financial future. Short form note: Robbins goes into more detail about how to change your mindset and behavior in Awaken the Giant Within with the 6-step process of neuroassociative conditioning. In short, you need to disrupt the old patterns, such as believing that investing is too hard and avoiding financial responsibility, and replace them with a new, empowering behavior and belief. To change your life, take conscious control of what you believe, how you feel, and how you act. Number 1. What you believe. Robbins explains that your beliefs determine what you focus on. They're habitual thoughts that cause you to interpret your experience through the lens of that thought, a filtering function of the reticular activating system, RAS, a key part of the brain. Then they influence your experience in accord with what the belief emphasizes. For instance, you might believe that work is a slog, so when you sit down each day, your mind will habitually pick out aspects of your experience that confirm that belief, such as daily aches and pains, and make you most aware of them. Then you think, ugh, another day of this, and reinforce the belief, a positive feedback loop that will persist unless consciously broken. Short-form note. Among other things, the RAS is responsible for regulating your sleep. Put simply, it filters incoming sensations, such as sight and sound, and adjusts how much of it goes on to your conscious mind. While you're asleep, it filters out most input but might let through any loud, surprising, or potentially dangerous noises. For instance, you'd likely pop awake if your window shattered and someone came through. While you're awake, the RAS enables you to focus. At any point, we receive far more sensory input than we could consciously handle, so the RAS sidelines most of it while filtering through what we choose to focus on. Hence its role in Robbins' belief change methods. Number 2. How you feel. Similarly, your emotions influence your thoughts and actions. If you feel lethargic, your thoughts and behaviors will likely also be sluggish and unmotivated. If you feel energized and confident, your mindset and actions will reflect that enthusiasm. Short-form note. In The Art of Learning, Josh Waitzkin suggests regulating your state by alternating periods of effort and rest. This draws from research on high-intensity interval training, HIIT, which physiologists found can train the heart to swiftly shift between active and resting modes. Number 3. How you act. According to Robbins, the right thoughts are no use without the right strategy. To act effectively, start with theoretical knowledge, for example, knowing how to build wealth, and then take action. As you consistently implement a strategy, you gain practical knowledge and get emotionally committed to your goal. Ways of knowing. Robbins' 3-part model of mastery, cognitive, emotional, and physical, is similar to John Vervaeke's 4-part model of knowledge. Vervaeke, a cognitive scientist, posits 4 Ps. Propositional knowing, theoretical knowledge, such as the ideas in this guide. Procedural knowing, understanding a sequence of steps, like Robbins' 7 Steps to Financial Freedom. Participatory knowing, the knowledge gained from doing, or tacit knowledge. Perspectival knowing, the ability to take on others' perspectives and see something as they do. Notice that each of these can help you learn the principles in this or any book. First, grasp the author's arguments. Second, review any practical steps, procedures, and try them out to gain participatory knowledge. Finally, try putting yourself in the shoes of a top investor or the author and imagine how they would think about and use these principles. Robbins asserts that each of us has already taken conscious control of these choices at some point in our lives. Think of past goals you've achieved, whether making a high school sports team, getting into a good college, or landing a great job. In each case, you consciously chose to believe it was possible, you got emotionally attached to that outcome, and you took action to make it happen. The rest of the guide will explain how to change your state, story, and strategy around money. Short-form note. Robbins calls these the 3 S's, and he isn't the only writer to use a threefold model of behavioral change. For instance, David Chapman writes about thinking, feeling, and acting, parallel to Robbins' story, state, and strategy. Chapman calls a pattern of thinking and feeling a stance, and any stance leads to a corresponding behavior, acting. much like Robbins' explanation above. New section. Change your state and story. After explaining the above self-mastery principles, Robbins writes that you might have limiting beliefs and emotions that prevent you from mastering money. Limiting beliefs operate in your subconscious mind, and you likely don't notice or examine them, but they have a substantial impact on your behavior. Telling yourself that you can't, that money is too scarce, or that the game is rigged, only causes you to feel disempowered and to become complacent about your finances. This perpetuates your present circumstances, reinforcing those beliefs in a negative spiral that won't break unless you challenge it. Short-form note. Researchers have found that our beliefs develop when we're young, so we often don't remember choosing to believe them. They come mainly from childhood experiences and what our parents and peers profess to believe. These beliefs become encoded in our brain, but we can reverse that encoding by changing our thoughts. The more we commit to different beliefs, the more our brain gets used to firing along those pathways instead of the old ones. So to change your financial situation, you must change how you think and feel about money. Even if a story or belief is true at present, Robbins asserts, it can still be unhelpful. Sometimes you need to believe something that isn't true yet in order to break that negative spiral and take action. For instance, even if you have little money, believing "I'm so poor" can trap you in a scarcity mindset that inhibits you from overcoming your circumstances. Short-form note. While this perspective may seem intense, changing your life often is intense and can require you to make leaps of faith. Consider Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. He writes that even in the psychic and physical stress of the concentration camps, people fought to maintain spiritual freedom and thereby behave with dignity, while others became defined by their circumstances. With today's freedoms and abundance of opportunities, Robbins contends we can muster the courage to break our own inner shackles and change our circumstances for the better. A new story. You can win the money game. According to Robbins, the average investor has better options than ever before to become wealthy. While pensions have declined, Social Security funds have dwindled, and many 401ks are insufficient, there are also new and powerful financial tools available. It's up to you to create your specific financial strategy, but Robbins asserts that investing wisely can make you wealthy. Short-form note. When learning how to invest for yourself, one key skill is learning how to write an investment thesis, a statement about your investing objective, your ideas about investing, and your reasoning for why they'll work. For example, you might state that your objective is to build steady passive income over time by committing to living below your means, saving extensively, and trusting that you'll gain over time. Robbins recommends thinking of money as a game. This doesn't mean it's trivial. It means you can learn how the game works and study the pros to improve your chances of winning. Crucially, you need to know how and how not to play the game to maximize your chances of winning. There are two ways to play: by investing actively or passively. Approach number 1. In active investing, you bet on the daily ups and downs of the market. Active investors buy and sell assets, such as bonds, stocks, and commodities, on a daily basis, trying to predict trends and beat the market. This high-risk approach is called day trading, and Robbins recommends avoiding it. Major financial firms have sophisticated technologies that enable them to trade assets in microseconds, as well as teams of experienced analysts who spend every day studying the market. Trying to compete with them is like challenging a modern military with a water gun and a hobby horse. Further, most active managers, investors who trade with funds contributed by the average person, fail to beat the market. Fully 96% lose over the long term. Short-form note. In I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi agrees that it's good practice to avoid mutual funds and active investing. He explains that many firms hide poor performance by dropping funds that fail and ranking only the funds that perform well. So a firm could start with 15 funds, but only 3 perform well while the others tank and disappear. Approach number 2. In passive investing, you buy and hold a collection of assets with the aim of mimicking the market's growth. Over time, the interest on your investments will yield steady returns, and a well-diversified portfolio, your collection of assets, can mitigate losses. This is the essence of Robbins' approach. Build an investment portfolio that grows steadily while losing as little as possible. Robbins says that the average investor can win with passive investing thanks to one simple mechanism: compound interest. Each time you earn interest on an investment, that money compounds with your initial investment, which is called your principal. Since your principal is now larger, the next return will be slightly larger. It again compounds with your principal, increasing the size of your next return. For example, $10,000 invested with an annual return of 7% becomes $19,671.51 in 10 years, $29,521.64 in 20 years, and it rockets up to $76,122.55 in 30 years. Short form note. Note that while index funds have done well in recent decades, experts disagree on whether they'll continue to perform well. Some suggest that the more people pile onto the index fund bandwagon, the more it'll bog down. In other words, popular indexes may become overvalued, inflate as a bubble, and eventually burst. A new state. Start from abundance. Once you believe that you can win in investing, the next step is to change how you feel about money. In other words, your emotional and physiological state. As Robbins explains, we don't really want money. We want how we think it'll make us feel, whether that's powerful, secure, happy, or relieved. Humans have 6 core needs that we're always trying to fulfill. To get clear on how you feel about money, consider which of the following 6 you're trying to fulfill. Need number 1, security. Feeling safe and certain about your circumstances or future. We need this to feel grounded and capable of taking risks. Need number 2, variety. Surprises and unpredictability keep life exciting and enjoyable. If everything was certain ahead of time, life would get dull. Imagine if you knew everything everyone was going to say before they said it. Need number 3, closeness. As social creatures, we all need to feel close and connected to friends and loved ones. Need number 4, meaning. We need to feel important, especially to those we care about. When we matter, life feels more meaningful. Need number 5, participation. When our basic needs are met, we look for spiritual fulfillment. According to Robbins, we can do this by giving our time, energy, and resources to causes larger than ourselves. For example, committing your time and/or money to ending homelessness is a higher-order spiritual calling that could bring you fulfillment. Need number 6, progress. We're meant to keep developing as life unfolds. Neglecting to grow feels like what it is, stagnation. Robbins' core needs and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Robbins explains that he derived the 6 needs above from years of coaching and observing his clients. His model also reflects psychologist Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which explains human needs in 5 levels. Maslow's physiological and safety needs. Robbins' security, basic health, finances. Maslow's social needs. Robbins' closeness and variety. Maslow's esteem needs. Robbins' meaning. Maslow's self-actualization needs. Robbins' participation and progress. Also like Maslow, Robbins separates his 6 needs into 2 classes: the basic needs, security, variety, closeness, and higher needs, meaning, participation, progress. Maslow calls the lower levels deficiency needs and higher levels growth needs. Robbins cautions against trying to fulfill need number 4, meaning, by amassing wealth. Remember that money is a tool, not the end goal. Your money won't give you meaning, but using it to live a passionate life will. Further, rather than pursuing money to fill any of these needs, Robbins recommends starting from abundance and gratitude. If you practice gratitude on a daily basis, it will reconfigure how you think and feel so that you approach life with openness and joy. The more you do this, the more serendipity will come along to guide you to what you seek. This is the real secret of wealth, Robbins explains. The more you give, the richer your life becomes. Giving brings you connection and meaningful experiences, and it improves the lives of the larger human community. The more you spread the love, the more it comes back around to you. Using your money to give back is Robbins' Step 7. Short form note. You must start with your mindset, state, and story, because everything you do cascades from what and how you think. If you start from a mindset of poverty or scarcity, you'll act accordingly, fearing loss, acting stingy, and living under constant money stress. Even wealthy people can have a poverty mindset and thus feel poor. On the other hand, genuinely poor people can live from an abundance mindset and find joy in giving and living well, even with little money to go around. Posture affects your state. You can also change your state by changing your posture. How you hold your body directly affects how you feel. For example, Robbins says that standing in a confident, assertive pose for just 2 minutes will increase your energy and change your mind state. Conversely, slouching or moping around will lower your energy and drain your motivation. Short form note. Robbins draws from Amy Cuddy's research on power posing. While her initial findings have been challenged by researchers who could not replicate her results, consensus holds that the core effect is valid. That is, expanding or contracting your posture makes you feel more or less powerful. More recent research has found that your quality of participation in the pose also affects whether it works. So if you do it with a grumpy attitude, you won't feel as much change as if you do it with an open, optimistic attitude. New section. Change your strategy. Once you've changed how you think and feel about money, you need to change your strategy, because thinking and feeling positively won't work unless you take effective action. As we discussed earlier, the first step is to become an investor rather than a consumer. As an investor, you use your money to generate passive income by buying assets, stocks, bonds, and commodities that offer dividends as the market rises. Short form note. In the Millionaire Fast Lane, MJ DeMarco recommends switching from a consumption mindset to a producer's mindset by constantly asking yourself about the things you buy. For example, ask, what value does this provide me? How did the company market it to me? About common items like your shampoo, your choice of phone and laptop, or your clothing. This will get you used to thinking like a business person rather than a consumer. In this section, we'll explain how to plan your financial future and start saving. Then we'll explore 3 fundamental principles that top investors follow, according to Robbins. Make a plan. Robbins explains that most people end up without enough money because they never make a plan. Afraid to look at their finances, they simply hope that things will work out and tell themselves that financial skills are too far above them. However, this mentality leads to uncertain outcomes. If nobody steers the ship, there's no telling where you might end up. To ensure a positive outcome, make a plan and follow through with 3 key commitments. Focus relentlessly, commit completely, and embrace serendipity. Commitment number 1. Focus relentlessly. According to Robbins, your energy follows your focus. Concentrating tenaciously on a goal causes your subconscious mind to direct all its power to achieving that goal. It does this by taking in and processing the information most relevant to reaching your goal. Taking it in. The reticular activating system filters your perception so that you see the opportunities and connections that will help you achieve that goal. Processing it. At the same time, your subconscious mind constantly uses this information to develop solutions to the challenges you focus on and intermittently sends them to your conscious mind. Short form note. Deepak Chopra suggests that self-reflective practices such as journaling, meditation, and yoga play a part in rewiring your subconscious mind to focus on creativity and growth. He also claims that as you engage in practices that bring compassion and equanimity, your gene activity changes to alter your physiology. Genes that promote inflammation go down, while genes that promote health and healing go up. Commitment number 2. Commit completely. Robbins says that when you give everything you've got to a goal, you'll find a way, no matter what. Get emotionally attached to your goal by refusing to accept a lower standard. As you go, deepen that commitment by persevering through the obstacles and learning from every misstep. This also embeds your commitment in your subconscious and further activates the benefits discussed in Step 1. Short form note. In The Art of Learning, Josh Waitzkin argues that to live a life of excellence, you can't give yourself too much slack. It's easy to make excuses when the going gets tough, but to truly achieve what most don't, you need to hold yourself to your commitments, even when you're struggling or in pain. Like Robbins, he holds that learning from your mistakes is the fastest way to get better. If you face setbacks, use that disappointment to double down on your commitment. If you feel insecure compared to people who are doing better than you, choose to learn from them and improve yourself. Short form note. In The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday recommends choosing to view every obstacle as an opportunity. This is an extension of the classic Stoic view that we must only focus on what we can change, and it can help you discover strengths you didn't know you have. For example, you might find a silver lining in the loss of your job. Maybe you now have time to reconsider where you are in life and whether you're really on the path you want to be. Building a stable financial future is a long journey, and we all start from different places and have different ambitions. According to Robbins, you should define what success means to you and customize your financial goals accordingly. Short form note. In Goals, Brian Tracy writes that you should define what success means to you, because chasing after other people's idea of success will only lead to unhappiness. Commitment number 3. Embrace serendipity. When you're relentlessly focused and completely committed, serendipity will help nudge you towards success. Robbins explains that when it feels like everything's just falling into place, serendipity is at work. He calls this God, or a higher cosmic order lending you a hand. Short form note. In Mastery, Robert Greene explains that serendipity fuels creative insights and pulls you along your life path. The brain, he explains, evolved to find connections between different pieces of information. Like Robbins, he asserts that as you commit deeply to your chosen path, serendipity will begin to give you novel insights as the ideas you entertain chance to bump into each other. And, he says, you can't fight these insights with linear, rational thinking. You have to trust they'll come about by chance. In other words, life rewards courage and commitment. The more you give to your passion, the more that giving comes back around to help you in the form of unexpected gifts, opportunities, and chance encounters that speed you along. Keep these 3 commitments in mind as you make your plan, which involves these 4 steps. Step number 1. Get your bearings. The first step is to figure out where you're starting from. Take an honest look at your financial situation, however scary it may be. As Robbins explains, you can't get physically fit without acknowledging your current health and measuring your progress. And the same is true of your financial health. Short form note. In contrast to Robbins, in The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday recommends starting immediately and adjusting as you go. If you struggle to take action, this can help you avoid getting bogged down in the planning stage and build momentum so that you'll keep going. As you go, learn quickly from every mistake you make and adjust your strategy accordingly. Step number 2. Set your destination. You need to set a clear destination in order to get anywhere. Calculate how much you need to save and invest in order to obtain monthly returns that can support your desired lifestyle. Robbins says that you can reach financial well-being with much less money than you think. He suggests 5 levels of financial well-being. Level number 1. Financial safety. You can cover 5 of your basic needs: housing, food, utilities, transportation, and insurance, with your investment yields. In other words, you don't have to work to pay for them. To find this number, estimate the monthly cost of each above expense, add them together, and multiply by 12. That gives you your yearly cost of basic needs, the amount you'll need your investment yields to cover to achieve financial safety. For instance, $2,500 of monthly expenses means you'd need $30,000 in annual investment income. Level number 2. Financial robustness. You have enough additional investment income to cover half of your desired luxuries, such as gym membership, restaurant expenses, or nice-to-have software subscriptions, without having to work. Level number 3. Financial sovereignty. You have enough investment income to cover levels 1 and 2, as well as any other expenses that are part of your current lifestyle. Since you don't have to rely on earned income, your life, your time, is now your domain, and you can work when and if you want to. Level number 4, financial autonomy. You've met the above goals and can also afford a few significant luxuries, such as a vacation house or long-term travel, without having to work for them. Level number 5, complete financial autonomy. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, without having to work to afford it. Money is no longer a concern for you or your family, and you can live your life entirely on your own terms. Lean fire versus fat fire. Similar to Robbins' suggested goals, the financially independent and retiring early FIRE community offers a few different lifestyle targets to pick from. Standard FIRE means simplifying your lifestyle and saving somewhat aggressively. Your aim is to develop an asset base that will allow you to retire in your 40s or 50s. Lean FIRE means living well below your means, such as in an RV, to save a high percentage of your income. Think 50% and even up to 85%. Fat FIRE means compromising fewer creature comforts and instead taking longer to retire but enjoying a more comfortable lifestyle. Barista FIRE is similar to Lean FIRE, but involves supplementing your passive income with part-time or gig work to support your desired lifestyle. For example, you might work for pleasure and income at a coffee shop. As always, it's up to you to determine what works for you. Consider how much you could let go and still be happy, and practice finding pleasure from less if you can. In general, cut out consumption that returns only temporary shallow pleasure, like a $4 muffin from a bakery, unless that muffin is truly meaningful to you. Robbins recommends picking 3 goals from the above: an easy, medium, and hard goal. Achieving the easy goal will feel great, build momentum, and motivate you to reach for your medium and hard goals. Short form note. In I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi recommends that you think about your why. Clarifying why you're working to achieve financial well-being can help prevent you from getting lost in the nitty-gritty of penny pinching. For example, maybe you're investing for peace of mind, so that you can live as you like without worrying about future income. Remembering this each day will help you to focus on money as a means to an end, not the end itself. Step number 3, start saving. Once you've figured out where you are and where you want to end up, it's time to start saving. Decide on a percentage, such as 10%, 15%, or 25% of your monthly income to save, and pay yourself by setting that aside before paying any other bills or other expenses. If you don't commit to saving a set amount, it's all too easy to spend it without thinking. This is the principle with which you'll start investing. Short form note. This is Robbins' Step 1. Decide to invest and start saving. Robbins also recommends saving up an emergency fund before you start investing. To do this, aim to accumulate enough money to cover your basic expenses for at least 6 to 12 months. Short form note. In I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi suggests leaning on your family to help with emergency funds if yours dwindle too quickly. Alternatively, you can withdraw the principal from your investments or use a credit card as a last resort. You'll reach your financial goals more quickly by saving more and spending less. The more you save to invest, the faster your investments can compound. Robbins provides several ways to accelerate your savings. Short form note. This is Robbins' Step 3. Speed up your journey. Accelerator number 1. Put away more money each month. Robbins recommends doing this by living at or below your means. To cut down on unnecessary costs, make a list of all your expenses and consider which you could reduce or remove. For example, $4 saved daily from a bagel shop habit would compound to roughly $53,000 if invested at 6% returns for 20 years. Short form note. Jacob Lund Fisker of Early Retirement Extreme suggests saving more than most by living on as little as possible. While he acknowledges that you should consider your happiness when changing your lifestyle, he also encourages trying to live with very little. For example, you might replace your car with an electric bicycle, downsize to a cheap apartment, or learn skills like home repair that enable you to cut costs even further. By doing this, he once reached an 85% monthly savings rate. Accelerator number 2. Increase your earnings by becoming a more valuable individual. Robbins explains that we're rewarded for the value that we bring to the market. So if you develop in-demand skills, especially creative thinking and entrepreneurial drive, you can become more valuable in your workplace and secure higher pay. You can also earn more by starting your own business. Short-form note. In the Millionaire Fast Lane, M.J. DeMarco argues that active production is the best way to become wealthy and liberate your lifestyle. As opposed to hopefully accumulating money via hourly or salaried wages, he advises using your time to create products, such as info products or software, which you can do by building expertise in a given field. For example, you could learn photography from numerous free online resources, then develop specialized lighting techniques and sell them in an online course. Accelerator number 3. Pay less in taxes and fees. Robbins recommends staying away from high-fee 401ks and other high-fee mutual funds. Even a 3% annual fee can significantly hinder your compounding interest, so choose low-fee investments instead. In addition, consider moving. Several U.S. states have no income tax, while living abroad is often cheaper and can enrich your life. Short-form note. Ramit Sethi explains in I Will Teach You to Be Rich that only the super rich have access to genuinely legal tax loopholes. Instead of worrying about those, focus on setting up good enough tax efficiency by using Roth accounts and trust that the money you pay in taxes helps maintain national infrastructure. Not a bad use for your money. In addition, take advantage of yearly tax refunds. You can often obtain a large lump sum that you can then reinvest. Additionally, avoid pitfalls that derail your progress. Robbins explains there are unsavory players who will take advantage of you to line their own pockets. In general, avoid getting sucked into marketing hype that encourages you to buy into the newest, hottest investments. These mainly profit the brokers, not the investors. Short-form note. This is Robbins' Step 2. Gain insider knowledge. Pitfall number 1. Misleading returns. Brokers or firms advertise average annual returns based on a lump sum investment compounded annually. Average returns usually look better on paper, but what you get are actual returns, which depend on your monthly contributions and variation in the market. Take it as a red flag if a firm tries to sell you on average returns. Short-form note. Average returns tend to look better because they represent the average percentage of yearly net gains and losses, not necessarily how much money you get. For example, if a $10,000 investment lost 25% one year, then gained 25% the next, you'd have an average return of 0%, but an actual loss of 6.25%. $10,000 minus $2,500 equals $7,500. Then $7,500 plus $1,875, 25%, equals $9,375. This is how firms can advertise returns that are technically accurate, yet misleading about how your money might actually do. Pitfall number 2. Disadvantageous products. Robbins explains that many financial products have high fees or disadvantageous terms. In general, avoid any fees over 1% annually. As a rule, avoid mutual funds and invest in low-cost index funds instead. Mutual funds depend on active managers, 96% of whom lose to the market over the long term, while index funds mimic the overall growth of the market. If you've invested in a 401k, annuity, or target date fund, check whether you're paying more in fees than you need to be. Many 401ks and annuities invest through high-fee mutual funds with poor returns and have low-fee alternatives. Many target date funds, a mutual fund meant to become more conservatively invested as you age, don't follow the advertised adjustment curve and do not guarantee good returns. Short-form note. In contrast to Robbins, Ramit Sethi recommends looking into target date funds in I Will Teach You to Be Rich. While many have high fees, they also handle rebalancing for you and provide easy diversification. Many feature a wide variety of diverse funds. As with all financial matters, do your own research to explore the options, and always look for low-fee options such as those provided by Vanguard, Robbins' recommended firm. Pitfall number 3. Self-interested brokers. Robbins explains that brokers have no legal obligation to put your interests first. Because they work for commissions, they have an incentive to sell you more expensive services, and they often get poor returns while charging you high fees. If they lose, you take the loss. If they win, they profit from your risk. Avoid working with brokers. Below, we explain how to find a fiduciary instead. Short form note. To find a fiduciary near you, try searching the National Associations of Personal Financial Advisors, NAPFA, online database. They provide a zip code-based search to help you locate personal advisors near you, and they list only certified advisors who charge fees, not commissions. Pitfall number 4. Unpredictable tax rates. When investments yield income, you must pay tax on that income. This means whenever you withdraw funds from an investment, as you would in retirement, you pay income tax. While we can't predict future tax rates, Robbins suggests that they may continue to increase. To avoid paying out higher taxes on your investments, use a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k. Unlike normal retirement accounts, Roth accounts allow you to pay tax up front. Each time you contribute, you'll pay tax. But when you later withdraw funds, when the rate may be higher, you don't have to pay it again. Short form note. One tool that Robbins doesn't mention is the 529 account, a college savings account described in A Random Walk Down Wall Street. If you have children or are planning to, you can use a 529 account to contribute up to $75,000 without paying tax. As always, look for low-fee options like those offered by Vanguard. Step number 4. Allocate your assets. Your assets are your money-earning investments, stocks, bonds, and commodities. Allocation refers to how you divide your money among assets. In other words, to allocate your assets is to build a diverse portfolio of investments by splitting your money among different buckets or asset categories. Short form note. This is Robbins' Step 4. Learn asset allocation. Short form note. Robbins also briefly discusses real estate investing and recommends investing in assisted living communities, since the demographic inevitability of the baby boomers becoming elderly is fast approaching. Alternatively, David Green argues that you can create passive income with his BRRRR method: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Put simply, you can purchase cheap properties outright, fix them up, and rent them, then take out a loan against your equity in the house to purchase the next property. Rent payments cover your loan and provide passive income, and you can quickly build a large portfolio of properties. Robbins recommends using 3 buckets or overall divisions of your money. Decide how to divide your money in whole number percentages, for example, 30%, 60%, and 10%, based on your own risk tolerance and age. Bucket number 1. Conservative investments. This bucket is for investments that will grow slowly but steadily, with relatively little risk. This involves cash. It's important to hold some cash in case you need funds rapidly, government bonds, pensions, annuities, and life insurance policies. Be patient and hold on to these for the long term. In time, they'll provide exponentially compounding interest. Bucket number 2. Aggressive investments. This bucket is for investments that might yield massive gains, but are also high risk. These assets include corporate stocks, through mutual funds, index funds, and exchange-traded funds, as well as real estate, commodities such as gold, oil, and wheat, and foreign currencies. Bucket number 3. Enjoyable investments. Unlike the previous 2 buckets, this one is for setting aside a small amount of money with which to enjoy your life now. As Robbins explains, there's no point in getting wealthy if you aren't living a good life along the way. Pick a small percentage and use that money to do things you love, such as taking a tropical vacation, going to the movies, or getting a new laptop. Investing in your happiness will help you enjoy life and stay moving toward your financial goals. A simpler portfolio setup. In The Simple Path to Wealth, J.L. Collins cuts past buckets to suggest just 3 tools to build a complete portfolio. Stocks. Collins advocates for investing in a specific index, VTSAX, Vanguard's Total Stock Market Index Fund, that gives steady, regular returns. Bonds. To balance your stocks, Collins suggests Vanguard's Total Bond Market Index Fund, VBTLX. Bonds are advantageous during periods of deflation and when you're nearing retirement. Cash. Although cash doesn't earn anything, you'll always need some on hand in case of emergencies or dropping prices. You can earn a small amount on it by placing it in a money market account, a special savings account that's FDIC insured and offers slightly higher interest rates. Collins emphasizes that your approach to investing shouldn't be overly complicated. If you're stressing yourself out, you're doing it wrong. Instead, follow time-tested strategies and let your investments sit. This will give you peace of mind and reliable investment income. Create steady gains while minimizing losses. Once you've developed a plan, the next step is to learn from those who've proven their skill. In this case, America's top billionaire investors. After meeting with many top investors, Robbins advocates for building an investment portfolio that mimics the market and minimizes losses while growing steadily over time. This implements 3 principles: play the long game, diversify your assets, and mitigate your downside. Short form note: this section includes Robbins' Step 5, ensure lifelong income, and Step 6, learn from top investors. Play the long game. As Robbins explains, the most reliable way to build wealth is to hold your investments for a long period of time. The best way to do this is with an index fund, a collection of stocks that mimics an overall market index, such as the S&P 500. In other words, owning an index fund means you own stock in every company on that index. Since the market averages growth over the long term, holding an index fund nets you returns that mimic the growth of that index. If you own an S&P 500 index fund and the S&P 500 grows, your investments grow too. Robbins says that you don't need to take big risks to have big success. While index funds grow modestly over time, they offer consistent growth, and many experts consider them to be invaluable assets. Short form note: legendary investor Charlie Munger recently stated that diversified index-based investing might not be as reliable for younger generations. Citing increasingly high housing prices, he argued that due to inflation, it'll be harder for recent college graduates to get and stay wealthy, and that young investors should seek out personalized investing advice rather than general strategies. Like anything, he said, investing takes practice. It's a skill that you'll build over time. Diversify your assets. Earlier, we explained how to divide your investment funds into 3 buckets as part of allocating your assets. It's also important to properly allocate within each of those buckets. For example, by holding multiple types of bonds or multiple index funds. The overriding goal of diversifying your assets is to build a portfolio that can withstand both good and bad market conditions. If one asset plummets, the rest buffer the loss. The market always reverts to the mean. Booms and busts are temporary, while average growth is the general rule. If you allocate intelligently, you can mitigate your losses in bad times and ensure substantial gains in good times. To do this, use the following 3 tactics. Tactic number 1. Diversify between asset classes. In other words, buy some bonds, some stocks, and some commodities. Tactic number 2. Diversify between markets. In addition to holding both stocks and bonds, aim also to hold different types of stocks and bonds. Since the markets don't all move together, for example, real estate is only loosely related to oil prices, you can mitigate market drops by holding assets in a wide range of markets. Tactic number 3. Diversify over time. You can also diversify across a period of time by using dollar cost averaging. Since timing the market, knowing when to buy and sell, is nearly impossible, Instead, commit to investing the same amount each month, regardless of market fluctuations. This takes advantage of market volatility for long-term gains. While you'll sometimes buy when prices are up, you'll gain a larger number of assets by spending the same amount when prices are down. Then, when prices rise again, you'll get larger dividends. Additional tips for diversification. In a random walk down Wall Street, Burton Malkiel discusses modern portfolio theory, a Nobel Prize-winning approach to diversification that shares qualities with Robbins' advice. Here are a few key points. Diversifying between markets or industries gives decreasing marginal returns. Researchers found that beyond 50 well-picked stocks, additional stocks do little extra to provide the stabilizing benefits of diversification. International markets move conversely to the U.S. Because of this, holding stock in developed foreign markets can offset your losses. For example, invest in foreign oil to benefit when rising oil prices cause a downturn in oil-dependent countries like the U.S. Note that investing in foreign markets can be risky, and most investors recommend a portfolio weighted towards U.S. stocks and bonds, with a small amount set aside for betting on emerging or developed foreign markets. The final key to proper asset allocation is to continually rebalance your portfolio. This means maintaining the same proportional divisions that you first start your buckets with. For example, a 50% conservative, 30% aggressive, 10% for fun allocation. These proportions will go out of balance when the buckets rise or fall according to their assets' performance. When this happens, reallocate funds until you've reestablished the original proportion. For example, your aggressive bucket might have a fantastic month, returning enough to become 40% of your funds. To rebalance, you can move money from that aggressive bucket into the other two until the proportions are correct. This matters because long-term investing requires you to set up a strategy and commit to it. If you get excited by short-term gains and fail to rebalance, you'll lose that much more money when the markets inevitably fall again. How often to rebalance? While rebalancing often might seem important, a recent paper from Vanguard's research division found that it had little to no positive effect on reducing a portfolio's volatility. At the same time, rebalancing more often takes more of your time and energy, so it's actually reasonable to rebalance no more than once annually, or when your allocations go beyond 5% out of balance. Regarding when to rebalance, consider doing so at the same time you handle other financial responsibilities, such as tax season in April. If you receive a tax refund, it's the perfect time to reinvest that lump sum or use it to rebalance your holdings. Mitigate your downside. The final principle is to mitigate your downside. In investing, losses are more impactful than gains. If a $10,000 investment drops 25% to $7,500, you'll need to gain 34%, $2,550 to break even again. So above all else, avoid losing money as best as you can. Robbins offers these tactics. Tactic number 1. Find opportunities for asymmetric risk and reward. This means that you only risk your money if the chance of gains is higher than the chance of losses. For example, you might use an annuity that insures your principal up to 100% while guaranteeing modest returns. That way, you can only gain money and you're protected against the downside. Short-form note. In Skin in the Game, Nassim Nicholas Taleb argues that pursuing wealth while minimizing losses is actually unethical. Because you have nothing to lose if you fail, you're free to pursue your self-interest without thought for the consequences of your actions. If investing is a zero-sum game, as Robbins says, then every dollar you earn risk-free is a dollar someone else loses. Taleb argues that we respect those who gain wealth through risky endeavors, such as running a tech startup, more than those who gain wealth via risk-free means. Tactic number 2. Get tax efficient. Several different accounts, most notably Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks, allow you to pay tax up front so that you need not pay tax when you withdraw funds later on. In addition, Robbins recommends specialized life insurance plans, such as the TIAA-CREF, that allow you to invest through a tax-free insurance wrapper, so that your compounding avoids tax and accelerates much more quickly. Short form note: in 2019, the Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association stopped offering the special life insurance plans recommended by Robbins. Find a fiduciary. Additionally, Robbins recommends working with a fiduciary. Wealthy investors have financial teams to help them, and the average investor can mimic this strategy by finding a reliable fiduciary. You would want to be your own doctor, and the markets are at least as complex as medicine, hence the need for a full-time professional to help steward your finances. A fiduciary is a financial professional with a legal responsibility to act in your best interest. You pay them directly via fees, and they cannot work for commission. This prevents a conflict of interest, whereas brokers work for commissions that incentivize them to sell you more expensive products. A fiduciary can help you optimize your financial strategy according to the above principles. Your fiduciary will help you build your portfolio, and allowing them to guide you helps you take your emotions out of the game. If you get too wrapped up in the stressful fluctuations of investing, you might make bad decisions. The more you can depend on a trusted financial professional to help you, the more you'll avoid making irrational, emotionally driven mistakes. Managing your own money. In I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi asserts that the average young person can manage their money just as well as the average financial advisor. While he agrees that it's important to find a fiduciary to help with complex financial situations, such as those that involve an inheritance or estate, you can do your own research, form an investment plan, and set up your own investment accounts. If you do opt for an advisor, be sure to ask them whether they're a fiduciary. If not, Sethi warns that you can get scammed by firms that don't disclose all of their fees or underperform on their promises.